Hello.
So I'm going to do a clap. Does someone want to do the clap to synchronize everything?
Is it going to hurt?
No. It's just like one clap. There's not clap, clap, clap.
I can clap.
So you want to do it?
Do it with your butt cheeks, babe.
Okay, so everyone has to be quiet. Yes, that was a good one. That activated everything. So we have a camera up here. That's rolling. Got that one over there. And now the show begins. So the only thing is if you can make sure that at all times you're talking right into the microphone, because if it goes off like that, kind of loses people's attention and stuff.
James is good at putting things right in his face like this as well. So
Right in front of your face? Or?
I'm usually standing up though.
Lol. Guys, thanks so much for coming in for this chat. James is saying he's done a couple of podcasts. Have you done one before, Charlie?
No, I haven't. I've actually been asked quite a few times and I've never felt like ready to.
Yep.
So yeah, you could say that I feel ready now.
That's nice.
Which is why I'm here.
That's awesome. A couple of things we want to talk about today is obviously you're both incredible artists in your own right, and I'd love both of you to speak to that. And also just around your career and your journey as creatives. I'd also love to hear about blazing at some point later on as well. And I'd love to get your thoughts.
We'd love to talk about blazing.
Yeah, I had a feeling you might.
All the blaze things.
Yeah. So to do a little introduction, James and Charlie are engaged, and they're both absolutely amazing photographers in their own right, and they've been doing it for many years. James is actually a Canon Pro ambassador, which I'm really excited to learn a bit more about that as well. Our C300 Mark III is a Canon camera, and we absolutely love Canon. My first camera was an 80D, which kind of kicked off my career about 7 odd years ago. It was the first Canon that had, well, not the first, but one of the first that had the outwards flippy screen, which made it really practical for video, which is why I chose that over a 5D Mark III, because it didn't have the flippy screen. So for video, it was like...
Is that the technical name for it? Flippy screen?
Flippy screen. Flippy screen, exactly. Yeah, so that thing's been like with me for years now. And yeah, Canon are just incredible cameras. The color science is amazing. But enough from me. I want to hear about you guys. So yeah, please introduce yourself. Tell us about, your story.
Do we rock, paper, scissors to see who goes first?
I think, yeah, all right, why not? Rock, paper, scissors. Wait, why did I do that?
What is that? Is
It's a shoot.
Is that a gun?
I meant to do that, but it's okay. Go again. Wait, we're out of time.
Okay, you win.
That means you go first.
Oh, I lost.
Bam. Boom.
G'day, team. Well, my name's James Simmons. I am a photographer and I primarily shoot weddings these days. I got into photography because I guess I was around it. My mum taught photography a long time ago in a little town called Southern Cross. She converted an old jail into a dark room. So I got to witness a lot of the magic of the developing process, and always thought it'd be something that I'd like to get into. Never thought of it as a career. And it really took quite a life change to give me the shove in that direction. I had a severe surfing accident and broke my arm, and that really put me on a different trajectory in career-wise, I suppose. I was working away on the mines. I couldn't do that anymore. So I just locked in some study and ended up at university, did a double major in film and video and photography. Preferred the photography because I could be everything all in one: the director, the DOP, the art director, everything. Very self-reliant, and I ended up getting a job with a local portrait and wedding studio. While their methodology was very commercial base, the uni degree gave me a good background in art history, and I fell in love with the photography for the art, and photojournalism was what I was infatuated with. Being able to, tell a story in a single frame or in a series of photos was something that really spoke to me. And the challenge of shooting weddings came up. I think the whole time I was at university, the idea of shooting weddings was way too overwhelming, and that's why it gets shit canned by so many people. People think of it, or used to think of it as being, not proper photography, but it actually encapsulates everything all in one. That photojournalistic approach, a bit of a fashion beauty approach, commercial as well, shooting details, and the ability to create worlds and tell stories is at the forefront of what we do. So it was a really good challenge that I really enjoyed, and it's also everyone's best day of their lives, so it's a massive vibe to hang around. So I kind of, got the art background from university. I got a bit of commercial experience working in a studio and understood what it took to run a business. And 5 years later, I started my own business. So I've been in business now for about 10 years. And it's been going from strength to strengths while the industry has gone through rapid changes, and while that fashion and trends change, what people want when they're looking for a wedding photographer has changed multiple times over that period. So it's taught me that I need to be on my toes and passionate about it all the time. Like complacency's got no space there, because you just get left in dust. But yeah, what I really love to do is, to have the photojournalistic approach while maintaining, the restraints of vanity that you operate in domestic photography. You've got to make people look good, but at the same time in doing that, you can be so creative and really etch out your own look. And that's what I get hired for now, is what I produce. And that's really freeing, because people aren't asking me to do something like someone else or showing me Pinterest boards. They get me for me. So that's also really rewarding, because you've got freedom to create, as long as you get the basic stuff right, get a shot with mum and a daughter and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, that's kind of what I love about it, and that's generally what I do.
That's amazing. Thanks for sharing. One of the objectives I'd love to achieve from today is, I guess there's going to be a lot of creatives, up and coming, experienced, that are going to tune into this podcast. I'd love for you to share a little bit about some tips or insights you could give a young creative coming up, because what my observation's been is a lot of creatives compare themselves to their idols, their heroes, and then there's that big struggle of separation, like, oh my goodness, like I'm starting out, I want to get to there. What does that journey look like? So could you speak to that? And by all means, Charlie, jump in at any time.
Yeah, everyone is at a different stage in their journey. So obviously comparison is the devil. And it's absolutely okay to be at the beginning. Where people get trapped and get kind of despondent about things, I think, is when they want to be at 100 already, and they're comparing themselves to, the world's best now. Let's face it, on social media, you're exposed to literally the best of the best and their best photos they've ever taken. So comparing that to, your first wedding you shot, it's going to make you feel terrible. So you will always fall into that gap of not being enough when it comes to that sort of thing. So people need to run their own race. And I've often told up-and-comers just to start with their own network, and build that following organically. When you're confident enough to shoot weddings, start with your family, start with your cousin's wedding, whoever it is. Do a good job, look after people, and they'll recommend you. So then your network starts to grow. Your cousin recommends you to their friends, and then their friends recommend you to their friends, and it grows quite organically. If you cast your rod straight into the big pond and you're competing with everyone else, it's probably not going to work out, or you'll spend a lot of money on ads or whatever it is, and maybe not see the results. So you can just control the things that you've got the ability to influence, and that usually happens organically through your own network. And then over time that grows and grows and grows until you get to a certain point where, you do have to start, doing the marketing things like everyone else. But, there's nothing wrong with starting slowly. Some people make a big splash too when they come in at a high level, or they transition from beauty and fashion, and they've already got a following. So when people see that they're shooting weddings, they jump on board.
And that's Charlie we're talking about right there.
Yeah. He was so well spoken in his description of how his trajectory in photography. So I'll try to do justice to mine. But yeah, so how I got into photography in general, if that's what we're talking about, was I actually started doing modelling as a teenager. Also for confidence development and self-esteem. And I did that for a few years, and then I got on a few billboards, had a few ads on TV, got in a couple of mags, things like that. And I started getting asked by friends, as James was saying, smaller inner circle, how do you do that? That's so cool. Like, I'd love to be on TV, that kind of thing. And eventually I kind of got sick of having to go for the coffees and coach people one-on-one, and because, it was taking a lot of time out of my days. And eventually I just went, you know what, like, all of you get in a room Wednesday night and I'll make this the thing. Like, we can actually go through this together. And so that's exactly what I did. And it was only supposed to be one sort of meeting, and it evolved over time into being like, okay, well, maybe this needs to happen again. So maybe do you guys want to come back next week? And that actually eventuated into being a full-on entity on its own in the form of a modelling school, which I had for 10 years, the better part of 10 years. And I was 18 when I started that. And, it was a gap in the market where there was nothing in Perth or Australia being offered like it. I was a new mum. I had, just had two kids, one after another at 18 and 19 years old, which I don't necessarily recommend. And yeah, basically it was just the market was hungry for this, and I was able to, supply something that, there was an obvious demand for. So essentially, I was hosting these workshops, which skyrocketed across, Australia, and we had thousands of students. In which we would take through a process of teaching them, how to love themselves, how to look after themselves, and things like that. And then at the end of that course, they'd also do 5 photo shoots with different photographers, and they were all different themes. They were all like loads of fun, like think Australia's Next Top Model sort of thing, but for Perth. Perth's Next Top Model. And we did launch, and we scouted a lot of talent and launched careers of particularly girls, all over the world. Like, we've still got girls that are walking, I should say, the catwalks of, Milan Fashion Week, New York Fashion Week, things like that. We've had, girls on Neighbours and Home and Away, throughout the pages of Vogue, all that kind of thing, which has been really cool to see, particularly if I've found them on Facebook and been like, hey, do you want to do modelling or something like that? But yeah, one part of there were a couple of parts of that course that did frustrate me. And one of those things was the dance mums and dads, which, lived up true to their stereotype, in really putting a lot of pressure on their daughters. And it really affected me because, especially having a daughter myself, who, and I was just really sensitive at that time to that. And that really got to me emotionally. And I didn't feel like these young girls needed any more pressure than the world put on them, particularly from their parents and then also for themselves. So it became hard for me to deal with those particular people, although there were so many beautiful people that did come through, and their parents as well. I had, they also, there were also some great parents too. But another part of the workshops that frustrated me were some of the photographers that we had hired for those courses, whereby I felt like if they were given the perfect recipe for a photo, meaning beautiful girl, awesome hair and makeup, great styling, perfect scenario, they were able to nail the shot. But, if you'd had an amateur model who'd never done it before, maybe like the hair and makeup was done really quickly, the styling didn't totally suit them, or maybe the dress was too big or whatever, and if the lighting wasn't perfect, I felt like they just really, really struggled. And I watched a lot of these photographers who were, you know, really reputable, struggled to actually get good photos if they weren't given the perfect circumstances. And I kind of would get some photos back and be like, man, if only she had her arm up like that, or her dress was like this, or her expression was like that. And I was kind of like, you know, venting my frustrations to a friend of mine, and she was like, why don't you just do it yourself? And I was like, maybe I will. And that's when I was like, well, you know what, I might try and like see how I go. And so I picked up the camera and started shooting the girls myself. And I was like so much more like, you know, I was really happy with the results that I was getting. I was happy with a lot of the other photographers' work too. Like, don't get me wrong, some of those photographers were absolutely phenomenal, and the results that they got were just mind blowing, like a lot of the times. But yeah, I was getting, I got a real sense of accomplishment and felt really connected when I was working with those girls as well. So yeah, that thrust me into photography essentially. And although, you know, I was struggling quite a lot in my personal life at the time of running my modelling school, which eventually closed because of the personal things that I was going through, photography for me ended up evolving to the point in which I could like basically do it full time and really create myself like a niche, especially in Perth, because I do like a lot of really close up beauty shots and things like that. And that didn't really exist here. There's another photographer here in Perth that's really, really good at it too.
Do you want to give him a shout out?
Yeah, his name's Derek Ethan.
There you go, Derek.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a really great beauty photographer as well. Yeah. And so I've been doing that for years and years. And I actually started in weddings. So like the
full circle.
Yeah, like I tried out weddings like kind of to begin with, and I was like, oh my God, this is so hard. Like we're talking long days in the sun, like heaps of people to capture, you know, just like so much going on and so much pressure, because if you don't get that kiss, or if you don't get that hug, or if you don't get, you know, like the walking down the aisle or whatever, like, you know, you're screwed. Like these are all very important moments.
Real time. You can't go back.
It's all real time. You can't be like, hang on guys, let's just do that again.
It's not a movie set or
no,
something,
no.
right?
So although I did do that early on, and I did lots of weddings for the, you know, throughout my 15-year career, it was not what I made myself known as, and I did feel a lot of pressure. And then, yeah, so I have been working a lot in the fashion and beauty field, you know, have been really lucky to work with a lot of really awesome people. And yeah, I guess I was happy with that. And then obviously I met James, not through photography, which is quite humorous, and I ended up assisting him on a couple of weddings, and I'm like, oh gosh, he's a wedding photographer, like eye roll. Not
savage.
No,
That's so brutal.
well, and then I looked at his work and I was like, hang on a second, like this is really good.
Incredible. Like
it's really mind blowing, like what he does. And yeah, I assisted him on a couple of weddings, and you know, he had like all new equipment, and like he was showing me the ropes, and I was just like, man, this doesn't actually have to be hard. And it got to the point that I was actually, you know, he reignited my spark in shooting weddings, because I was like, it didn't have to be hard. It didn't have to be like this
cringe.
Huge amount of pressure. It didn't have to be cringe. It didn't have to be like, you know, doing a love heart and then it like, you know, their faces in between the love heart or that kind of thing.
With the sun perfectly framed in the middle.
Oh, I love those photos. Yeah, not roasting anyone who's done that, but, you know, maybe I am. But yeah, and so he fully reignited my love for wedding photography again, and now I find it so rewarding. And like I'm shooting a wedding tomorrow, and I'm so excited about it. And I think the reason why I'm starting to, well, I guess why I love it so much now as opposed to 15 years ago is many reasons. Like the technology, especially the stuff from Canon, is just so good. And it really is, like, you know how they say, what are, like, only as good as the tools, like...
Oh, a good tradesman never blames their tools.
Oh, or like is as only good as, I can't remember, but anyway. So I just think
there's so much bullshit in that statement. In our game there is, like, it's both ways. You can create magic with like a point and shoot.
Agreed.
However, there's certain things that you need, like dynamic
Yeah.
range, full frame, long
Yeah.
lens, la la la.
And weddings is that
Yeah.
because, you know, you do need to click faster. You need that recycle rate to
Yeah.
be quick.
You guys told me actually like a few weeks ago when we were just like having dinner at your place how many photos you take on average at a wedding. How many is it?
Shh, don't tell.
Is that a trade secret, is it?
No, it's not.
No, it's a ridiculous number. That's the thing.
Yeah. Look, I think that James was on, you know, already quite a high level until I was like trigger happy by his side.
Yep.
And honestly, like, I think what do we average when we're together?
It's crept up over the years, like with the advancement.
This is
in
like a what's your number,
technology.
babe? No, what's your number?
Let's say it on 3. No.
I'll show you mine if you show me yours. With the advancements in technology, my number of shots has crept up. When I
Yep.
first started,
You're burning that data.
I'd shoot maybe 500 to 1,000 frames
Yep.
in a wedding.
Yep.
Now, with the capabilities of the cameras and, you know, wanting to capture more spontaneous moments, you know, photographing through movement, the tools enable us to probably, you know, get a better strike rate. So I average 1,000 photos an hour
An hour. Wow. Okay.
of coverage time.
And yeah, nice. And that's what, 48 to 60 megabytes a picture?
Yeah, around it. Yeah, somewhere
So
around 50.
you're burning like a gig an hour roughly or thereabouts. My math's pretty rough right now, but
Oof,
you got CF Express cards?
more.
It's more, yeah, okay.
Way more.
More. 60, probably 60, not 60.
Yeah,
Probably 60.
I wouldn't be surprised if I took home maybe over 300 gigs for a wedding.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so yeah, 60. And what do you, 3 hours, 4 hours for a wedding roughly? Up to 8 hours?
Average is about 8.
Okay, 8, yeah, okay.
I actually shot, we shot a wedding recently for a friend of mine. She's an amazing designer in Perth, and she's also just started a content creation company called Chin Chin. Her name's Steph Ordino. And
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out to Steph.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah, the girls.
She's the best guy, the best
Awesome.
girl. And yeah, we shot her massive Italian wedding at UWA. And we actually got the most photos out of any wedding that we've ever shot, and it was 28,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was that because there was one for each family member? Lol.
I love that. My
good.
big Italian wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. Well, she did more stuff and things before the ceremony. She went to her nonna's house, who had actually quite bad dementia. So when we walked in, he didn't even recognise her, but he
Oh,
thought she was like an
shame,
angel who'd just
shame.
come to see him, which was the
Oh,
most beautiful
that's so
thing.
beautiful.
And then actually,
I love old people.
yeah, old
They're the
people
best.
are the
They're
best.
the
Yeah,
best.
and getting photos of old people is so
Yes.
good
Oh my God,
too.
they're so freaking interesting.
Yeah,
The
they're
character
so,
in
and the
them.
lines on their face.
Yeah.
And, you know, I'm like, oh, I'm so glad there wasn't Botox around in the 60s or
Right.
50s or whatever.
And you just know they've been through the shit.
Yeah,
and
they've
they're
been-
still fucking here.
They've seen some shit.
Like, whoa.
Yeah, and then also Steph's dad had actually passed away a couple of years ago, and they visited him at the at Karrakatta,
Yep,
the
that's a
cemetery.
Yep.
Yeah, just to like sort of, you know, be with him on the day
Beautiful.
sort of thing.
Amazing.
So yeah, and I guess those things aren't normally done on a wedding day, and they were really special, beautiful moments.
Very intimate.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
intimate,
So
yeah.
because of that, and because of the fact that she had like flipping 300 dress changes because she's
Yeah.
a designer.
Yeah.
Just and so did her bridesmaids as well, and the mum and everything. There were just more photos. So
Yeah.
yeah, but it took a long time to go through. But the end shots, we kind of get them down to about 1,000 to 2,000 photos.
Yeah.
That's like the deliverable gallery. Sometimes it's a little bit less. It depends on a lot. Whether how long the wedding was, how many people were there, how much expression and vibrancy there is and that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So-
fantastic. I've got a question, Charlie, I want to ask you, and we're going to get the answer after our quick message from our sponsors today.
Sure.
Do you see yourself more as an extrovert or an introvert? All right, guys, thanks for listening to the podcast, sponsored by Sky Video and Talent Corp. If you want professional actors or Australia's best leading talent, please reach out to Sky Video or Talent Corp, and thanks for sponsoring this podcast. All right, we are back, and Charlie Octavia is about to answer the $1 million question, because I know that some of the things you've been saying have probably been quite triggering for introverts. So do you see yourself more as an introvert or an extrovert?
You know what? This is going to really annoy you and maybe everyone who's triggered, because it's sort of like when people go, are you a cat person or a dog person? And I'm like, I'm absolutely both. Like, why do I have to choose? Or like, who's your favourite child? And I'm like, it's clearly Cairo. No, I'm joking. I love my children both the same. Or like, are you a summer or winter person? Like, I need both. Like, you know.
I love that.
And like, genuinely, like, I'm actually studying psychology at the moment, so it's really interesting that you've asked me that question, because all of these things that I've been thinking about, especially in the last semester, being absolutely crammed with uni, but I'm actually both. Most people would think that I'm like the biggest extrovert, based on, you know, what they see on Instagram,
and you're bubbly as well,
or how I am in person.
Like very bubbly and articulate.
Thank you. Yeah, and I have always been like that. However, I do get like my social battery drains as well. And I do like being alone, and I like being in silence. And I need to recharge as well.
What gave you the confidence then at such a young age to start up the agency? And that's probably how I'm like anchoring it back to this question now, because it was an extraordinary thing you did at a young age. And I'd love for you to share to that younger person, that younger woman that's listening to this, that's maybe getting anxiety or doesn't know how to take that next step. Like, what can we give her as a tool to say, hey babe, you're okay, just go and give it a shot, you know?
Yeah, actually it might be really surprising, the answer that I have for you. And I'd like to be able to say, oh my God, you know what, I was just so excited and so motivated, and like just was ready to go out there and do the thing.
Doing my hustle life.
Yeah, like hashtag hustle life. Yeah. It wasn't that at all, actually. And as I said, the more that I delve into my own psychology, it makes it more and more clear to me about why it is that I had such a high achieving brain at such a young age and did the things that I did, including the modelling school, but like so many other things as well. And as much as I'd like to think that it birthed from being excited and passion, it actually stemmed from panic. And
so your survival instincts were active, and you were just in survival mode.
Yeah. And I'd actually had like and I'm, you know, kind of going like, do you want to hear my life story right now? But I'd had a near perfect childhood. I grew up in Harvey, which is a, you know, small town an hour and a half south of Perth.
Beautiful town as well.
Oh, beautiful
town. Very safe, very quaint.
You know, we didn't have bloody technology. We had electricity, not technology. Played with sticks. Like I always tell my children when they're saying, can I play with the iPad? I'm like, no, you can play with sticks like I did in Harvey. But yeah, I had a near perfect childhood. But then my adolescence was actually really, really hard. So I was in a pretty toxic home environment. I actually left home when I was 13, and I did live on the street for like a little while as well, which is like, you know, something that not many people would have guessed or know about me.
100%.
Yeah, and I was put in some really compromising positions, and yeah, it was a really hard part of my life. And I think that, looking back on it, I'm really grateful that it happened, because I feel like it really set me up emotionally for like greatness. Because it taught me to be, a survivor, and to want better for myself, and to be really empathetic towards people as well, which are all parts of myself that I really love.
Yeah, amazing.
Yeah, however, on the flip side of that, there's also a part of that was really, really sad and really hard. And it's still like it's quite a struggle to have to regulate my nervous system into a place of peace. And now I'd like to think that I've learnt so much over the last, you know, since I was 13. And now I'd like to think, and I try to strive to create from a place of passion instead of a place of panic. And that's probably my piece of advice for young people starting out in photography, or starting out in anything, or doing anything in general, is, you know, get a really clear vision of what it is that you want that's unique to you, and, you know, find your own thing, like put your own flavor on things. And that actually comes, I think, from a really in-depth knowledge of yourself, and, you know, not trying to appease somebody, not trying to pretend to be somebody, not trying to, you know, like live up to other people's expectations, but like getting really clear on what it is that you want and what your flavor is and what sets you on fire. Because if you're fucking passionate about something, sorry for the F word, I don't know if we're allowed to do that.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
If you're really fucking passionate about something, like everything else will follow because it will be absolutely infectious, and people can't say no to that. Whether that's like, you know, people in your circle, your friends, your family, etc., or clients, like people that want to book you. Like if you're like, I absolutely fucking love what I'm doing, like look at this, look at this, look at this, you know, like people can't help but be interested.
So true.
Yeah.
And
so
there's the authenticity that comes from behind that as well.
yeah. And I also think that it does help when you are creating too, because you know, you can't be in a place of fear or anxiety when you're creating, because it's quite literally the opposite. You know, you need to be in a place of like love and abundance and, you know, positivity. So
This is juicy stuff right
yeah,
here.
it's super
This is
juicy.
Yeah.
You
this is
knew
so
it
good.
was going to be like this.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And you know, I actually I would like to add something small to that, and it's something that I feel like I'm going to start speaking to a lot more as well. I believe that every single person is creative, and I'm very fortunate now because of the work I've done and my work that I put out there. People are like, Cam, you're so fucking creative, and I'm like, thank you, that's so sweet. I'm like, but did you know that I didn't even know how to turn that fucking thing on 7 years ago? I didn't know how to edit 7 or 8 years ago. I didn't know anything. I was like the most least creative person out there. I didn't even know what art was. And then I went on this journey, and a journey of learning and discovery and all this stuff. And then it dawned on me like 4 or 5 years in, I'm like, no, this isn't like a gift. This isn't like I'm just creative. This is because I've worked and learned skill sets and developed skill sets, and anyone can learn these skill sets if they want to. And now we're seeing like a renaissance of art coming through in the digital format, where people are doing podcasts, people are becoming videographers, photographers, cinematographers, directors of photography, film directors, producers, plus all the drawing arts. Like how cool those arts on the iPad where you zoom in and it just keeps continuously zooming and
really
zooming
cool.
and zooming. Like that stuff fucking blows my mind. I'm like, I want to learn that next. I want to learn music next, you know? It's so beautiful.
Yeah, actually, I know that this is kind of like side quest, but it's also me like, let's talk about Blaze.
Well, let's segue into Blaze.
Well, I just actually, this is a segue, right? Like,
because you've got black hair, right? That's just like dust in your hair right now.
nice. Yeah, I just wanted to speak into that. You talking about art and, you know, music and creativity and that kind of thing. And it was so abundant at Blazing Swan, which is...
So what is Blazing Swan? Because a bunch of people listening to this won't have a freaking clue what Blazing Swan is.
Yeah, so essentially it is the Perth leg of Burning Man. So it's run by the same people. The same 11 principles apply. Don't ask me what they are exactly, because I would only be able to tell you.
Matter out of place. No mop.
No moop.
No
Yeah,
moop on the player.
No
In
moop
other
on the
words,
player.
Take your shit out of there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Leave no trace. So yeah, but it was just so incredibly obvious and abundant how many incredible, you know, people there are doing such incredible things at Blaze, you know, and there's basically like just crazy people doing crazy things constantly, like everything that you could possibly see you will, like
So you're trying fantasy land for adults.
yes
basically.
it is basically like
Art installations.
yeah and like, you know, you'll see like we were talking about this other way, that you could see like someone driving a couch and then, you know, passing a naked guy with a donkey's head, passing someone on stilts but walking backwards. And
Donkey head's quite a statement.
what else,
isn't
babe? What else did we see?
Was he packing it in the donkey department? What was it called?
As a pony.
As
Oh,
a
yeah.
pony?
Shetland pony.
An Icelandic horse.
Yeah.
A dinosaur skeleton driving a dinosaur, you know, just mutant vehicles, just the craziest setups. Everyone just puts in so much effort, and it's that joint collaboration which makes it just such a wonderful experience to be part of, because everything's had time and effort put into it. So it's just a mind-blowing experience.
Yeah.
You no money out there, so it's all trading and currency. Did you guys take any gifts to gift to other people?
Well, I've got a little pink van. So it's called a little pink van. It's a caravan bar that I created years ago, just before COVID, which was really, really helpful for a business that deals with events and only events.
People being together.
Yeah. So we took that as the bar for our themed camp, which was awesome.
That's cool.
And I also did
the
photography.
Decks? Do you have the decks up there as well?
No, not this time.
For your birthday, it was decks up there.
Yeah.
But for this, it was bar.
Full blown bar.
And did you guys stock it full of booze before you went up?
They actually, like our themed camp did, yeah. So
Nice.
yeah, we're making some really cool drinks in there. And yeah, cocktails, daiquiris,
mugs, getting margaritas going.
Yeah, we did some mugs too.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, one of the things that I also did photography, so I'm going to show you that.
I saw one of your reels, but talk to more. I saw one of the reels you did. It was really cool. On that one rock, you got everyone to stand in the one spot.
Yeah.
That was a vibe.
It was actually one of the highlights of my whole time being there, because our whole themed camp went up and we were like, let's get some photos or whatever, and everyone dressed up especially for the occasion because
everyone's outfits looked amazing.
Yeah, they were so good. Everyone put so much effort into those.
There was some chick in a red dress that just nailed her pose. The outfit was just popping at the There's a bunch of amazing ones.
That was Charlie.
No, it wasn't. No. I know who you're talking about. And coincidentally, she was actually one of my students at my modelling school 10 years ago when she was like 14.
Learned from the best.
That's what she says. She's always like, oh, I wonder who taught me.
Yeah, wow, that's so nice.
But yeah, so we just like I got everyone to stand on the rock and then like go one after another. But like what you don't see in the photo, which is why it would have been awesome to have you there doing video, is that the entire like rest of the theme camp were like totally surrounding that person on the rock, and they were like full on hype girling them, like screaming, shouting, hollering, clapping, like applauding everything, every single person when they got up. So like it was so cool because like everyone had their like own little moment just to like be like, I'm the one that's shining now.
That's so cool.
And then like the next person did their thing and the next person did their thing, and it was just really cool. Like for me, it put a lot of like depth into what I love about photography and that kind of photography, like shooting individuals. It's like making them feel fucking good.
Yeah.
And I do feel like there's a side of that as well, like photography, shooting people, that it can sort of also enable their need for validation and them feeling like shit about themselves,
based from insecurities,
totally,
and negative emotions.
And that is something that I do get really like kind of sick of every now and again, is just feeling like I'm enabling that. But what I love is moments like that where it's basically like, let's make this person feel fucking alive and beautiful and celebrate them. So that was actually fully one of my highlights. But what I did want to mention before is this incredible installation, which was by a guy named Jerome, and
shout out Jerome.
I don't even know who Jerome is, but he's a big dog.
Big dog.
He's clearly a big dog because we got fully recommended to go and sit on this rock to do this lightscapey thing, and we were like, cool, let's do that. And I'd been to like Kings Park lightscapes before, and I've seen some, like I'm all about the pretty lights, right? So I was just like, this is probably going to be similar but surely good. And so we headed over to Jerome's rock late at night. It was absolutely freezing, but we got rugged up, went down there, sat on this rock, and he'd had like, LED poles that were kind of like lighting up to music, which was cool. And then he had some like beautiful coloured lights backlighting the trees behind that, which was also really cool. And then there were like some little laser lights in the trees pointing inwards towards the feet of the viewers, which was also really cool. But the thing that really, really like just made it different was there was like this smoke from smoke machines coming from two different directions behind us, behind the audience. And actually what I found out today that I don't even know if you know, James, the smoke was actually fragranced. So like he'd put smelly stuff in it, even though I don't think we noticed that. But anyway, maybe we had like dust up our noses or some shit. But it was like when the smoke machine passed through us from behind us to the front, the lights captured the smoke, in such a specific way that it like sucked the smoke totally like through us, and there were just these amazing colors and fragments and shapes, and like it was just like a little vortex into the universe. And it was one of the most emotional things like I've ever done.
Powerful.
It was so powerful. Like
multi-sensory activation.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And like, not like I know what this is like, but it was like a DMT trip.
Yeah. Okay. Wow.
I've got a video and I was so happy that I got a video that kind of encapsulates.
Yeah. Cool. I was
what it
gonna
was
ask
like.
if you did get a video of it.
Yeah. So I'll show it to you after this. But honestly, it was like one of the most phenomenal things I've ever seen in my life. And I looked at James and I was like, we did this. Like humans fucking did this. Like how fucking cool.
Yeah.
You know,
it was
amazing.
super immersive.
Yeah.
Like it just fully encapsulated like your point of view and just put you in a whole nother space, surrounded by lasers and you know, beams and light, and the smoke just picks everything up and creates a real sense of a 3D artwork. And with the, you know, didgeridoo kind of music, that it spoke to a lot of like Australiana sort of stuff, and I'm probably put money on it that the fragrance were something native.
Yeah, nice. Awesome. Did you get to talk with Jerome at all?
No, Jerome is like a Banksy, I think.
Cool.
We don't even know what Jerome could be a chick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jerome could be Stephanie.
Yeah. Maybe something else, like starting with a J, but also could be Stephanie.
Janice? Jan?
Yeah.
Jude?
Something
Jude,
like that.
is that you and your art installation? Jude, phone torches on. Have you seen that lamb ad?
No, but you're going to have to show us that later as well.
It's a banger. Yeah, it just nails every aspect of generational pop culture at the moment.
Cool.
It's a good one.
Yeah, you'll have to show. We have to do some, you know, sharesies after the podcast. Then you can put a link so that everyone can see all the things.
We'll have to bang it in the video as well, because we're doing a video and audio of the podcast, which is pretty cool.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, what's the rest of, you know, the next couple of months looking like for you guys with the work scene, with the wedding scene? Have you got some projects coming up? You got bookings, and how does that all work?
I'm heading down to Albany tomorrow, actually, to shoot a really cool elopement. Yeah, just them and their parents down by some of the, you know, vast coastal spaces down in Albany. So I'm really excited about that.
Nice, man.
It's such a playground, you know, and I just love being part of like intimate moments and, you know, helping empower people in that awkward scenario of being photographed. I mean, no one likes to be photographed. So I get a kick out of like giving people that confidence to, you know, really be themselves in that space and hold that space for them.
Yep.
So, yeah, most of my projects are weddings, but it is winding down in WA this time of year. So heading into May, it starts to chill out a little bit, and then we've got a few months over winter where we'll just be madly catching up on editing and hopefully not looking like vampires when we emerge from the editing cave. We're gonna go on a little trip for Charlie's birthday.
Yeah, you got another birthday coming up.
Bali.
Yeah.
Charlie and Bali's birthday.
Charlie and Bali. I like it. I like it. I'll be up there a similar time, I reckon. Maybe just a bit after, actually.
We should definitely link up.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, for sure.
So, James, I know there's a bunch of creators that are stuck with us this far in the pod. Thanks, everyone, so far. Let's talk about your Canon ambassadorship. Who approached who? What's the deal? How did that work?
I think I got on the radar with Canon. Oh, geez, do you know what? It was 10 years ago now. I'd won Australian Photographer of the Year through the AIPP, which is...
Damn, bro. Congratulations. I didn't know that.
Oh, yeah.
That's huge.
Humble brag.
That's huge, man.
I mean, it was a decade ago. I've got to keep bringing it up so it can stay relevant, you know. No, well, the AIPP sadly no longer exists. They went into liquidation. There was a little bit of BS that went on behind the scenes.
So were you a member of that organisation?
Yeah. It was a really good community when I first got into photography for learning and education, and that award was sponsored by Canon. So it opened up the communication lines.
Nice. Okay.
Back then.
Yep.
So popped on their radar back then, and then occasionally they had a few things pop up, which I was always happy to be a part of, and then over COVID. Yeah, it was like during lockdowns and stuff. They hit me up and offered me an opportunity to review the new R5 when the R5 was just coming out.
Beautiful.
So I got my hands on the R5, one of the first models in Australia, and created some content for them. You know, kind of reviewing it. You know, made a video of it in use, and you know some shots that came out of that. So it was all done quite stealth, you know, only a handful of people, you know, pretty small production, but, you know, it kept us busy.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So you're multidisciplinary then. So you're photographer first, but you can do a little bit of video as well. And then you engaged with a crew, or how did that work?
I outsourced the video.
Okay.
I'm definitely, it's something I studied and I'm aware of, but hopeless with. Don't even know anything to edit video.
Yes, it's like me with photos, right? Like I get asked from time to time if I can shoot photos, and I'm like, I'm not a photographer, and I'm not even going to pretend that I have the level of skill and knowledge of what a photographer knows compared to being a filmmaker and a film director. It's very different. Very different.
Yeah, quite different. A lot of transferable skill.
Indeed.
And I'm sure if I put my mind to it, I could do it, but I just know there's people that are better at doing that.
Yeah.
And I don't have the workflow in place to make it efficient.
Yep.
So I outsourced that, got a friend to do it, did a great job.
Nice.
They loved it. And then, like, after, you know, obviously having a win with that, you know, promo that they wanted us to do, I don't know whether it was off their own bat or someone else maybe put my name forward to it, but they started a Canon ambassador program, which is a little bit separate to their Canon Masters program. They wanted the ambassadors to be a bit more proactive, a bit of a younger ilk, and across a few different disciplines, I suppose. So they reached out to us and just said, hey, we're starting this new program. You know, do you want to be a part of it? It's going to, you know, entail you doing a bunch of stuff for us, but in return, we can give you all the gear to borrow and, you know, can give you discounts on stuff if, you know, you want to buy stuff. So it's been a nice collaboration.
Yep.
And it started off with just a 12-month contract, and that was back in 2020.
Okay.
So they've kept rolling it over, and
are you getting paid as well, or is it more just like,
no.
Okay, yep.
No.
You're getting other perks though.
Yeah, I get to use the gear and the new gear when it comes out, you know, on request. I don't take the piss or anything like that on those requests. I try and keep it pretty civil and do what I can for them, because they're a great ally to have. Yeah. So yeah, it's just been quite a mutually, you know, beneficial situation.
Amazing, that's awesome. So, like Charlie even touched on it before. So let's get into gear a little bit, because, you know, we charge a lot of money for our work. Like you guys charge thousands and thousands of dollars for shooting a wedding. We kind of touched on before, like, as much as these phones are great and this camera is good, but like having professional gear really does bring a whole new level. So are you guys both shooting on R5 right now? What's some of the things you love about the new mirrorless range? Walk me through some of your loves and things that you could maybe improve with the Canon ecosystem.
Yeah, we've got 3 R5s and 1 R3.
And so the R3 is?
It's like a sports-based sort of angled camera.
So would you call it better or worse?
It's just a different beast. Like, it's lower megapixel resolution, but much higher, faster burst rates, and the focusing's probably a little more responsive.
Still full frame?
Yes.
Because with Canon, usually in photography camera or DSLRs or mirrorless, like the smaller the number, the better it is. So, you know, 1DX was kind of the creme de la creme, right? So R3s,
it's heading towards their flagship.
Got you.
They're still yet to release their R1.
Yep. R1.
Replace the 1D.
1D. Yep.
Yeah. So that's a fantastic system. They were almost, you know, completely life-changing in regards to the way that the focus worked, you know, straight onto the sensor versus the SLR, which was, you know, through the mirror. And it's kind of changed the way that I shoot. Like, I guess with the SLRs, I was always old school, you know, single point, single focus.
Okay.
You know,
instead of like a spread pattern in your focus.
Yeah, well, just you know, locking that focus, bang, shooting the frame.
Right, okay.
Now, I can't use anything but like the tracking system, the face tracking.
So you guys are fully on face tracking. Yeah, cool. Yeah. It's that fast, hey?
Yes, yeah. And it's pretty bloody good. Like, the strike rate of, you know, nailing focus is bang on. I think over the age of the cameras and how much I flog them to death, things have started to loosen up a little bit, and, you know, they're a little kind of struggling. So I think it's probably time for a sensor clean.
Yeah.
It's just try and bit of a health check on those things.
So you'll send it off to Canon in Sydney then?
Yeah.
Is that who you
CPS.
work with? Is it Canon Sydney, CPS? Do you work with them in Sydney for your ambassadorship as well?
Yeah. A lot of the team are based in Sydney.
Yeah.
Sun Studios is kind of their base as well.
We use Sun Studios quite a bit. We love them.
Yeah, they.
We bought that through them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Canon will love you.
Yeah, we haven't got much love from Canon yet. Shout out Canon. Hello, we're here. No, Canon. I mean, we absolutely love them, and they're so great to deal with. But we're new kids on the block. They don't know us yet. No one fucking knows us yet.
I'll just drop this podcast their way.
Yeah.
They might give me a shout out.
I feel like using the R5 in comparison to like even the 5D Mark IV, which
you
is
were
an
5D Mark
awesome
IV,
camera.
right?
I was,
you were
yeah.
Before, yeah.
Is night and day, even though like the 5D Mark IV is an awesome camera, and I've done like most of my work on like the 5D Mark II, III, IV.
Yeah.
It's the Mark IV in comparison to the R5 is like a Hyundai Excel to a Tesla.
Yeah.
It's so.
Congratulations on the new Tesla, by the way.
I mean,
cool.
both the R5 and the Tesla having those as tools right now.
Yeah.
Isn't life sweet?
Life is sweet. Life is sweet. So let's talk to color. Like, do you put emphasis over lighting or color? Because a lot of people invest in the Canon ecosystem, and I still feel that Canon in the professional range, unless you're going up to like maybe Hasselblad or like Leica, or even pushing it further into like, a $50,000-$60,000 plus camera, I feel Canon just wipes the floor from everyone with color science. Do you guys do much color manipulation in post-production? And when you're shooting, are you thinking about color, or is color something you do later and it's more about lighting? I'd love to hear about that.
They kind of work together.
Okay.
Like without good lighting, you're going to get shit color.
Okay.
Like especially when we work with skin tones so much. So like ill-lit people will create kind of muddy skin tones.
Ill skin tones.
Yeah, they go like gaunty and like they look thick. So you guys actually, that's interesting, because whenever I've spoken with a photographer, skin tones has never come up. Whenever I talk with my DPs or anything to do with filmmakers, it's all about skin tones. So this is very interesting.
Yeah, and I'm highly aware of the different color temperatures of the lights.
Yes.
However, a lot of the situations you can't do anything about it.
Well, you're shooting raw, right?
Yeah, of course.
So you shoot raw. How are you exposing for skin tones in an R5 then?
I will expose relatively neutral, sometimes a little bright, then sometimes a little dark, depending on the key of the light.
All of the things.
It really does depend.
Just move that wheel.
It sounded like, it's like, I do everything. Yeah.
High photography.
High photography.
I press button. Yeah. No, but depending on the lighting situation, right? Like I'll always aim for well exposed skin. So when I shoot my darker, more romantic, moodier stuff, I'm still aiming for at least a highlight on the skin that's proper exposed, like has a proper exposure. And, things will still fall away into the darkness, and it might be in a dark environment, but it's not an underexposed image. It's just a dark image with a well-exposed skin tone. So I won't push it or pull it too much. I'm pretty much in the middle. So you've got maximum leeway. You're not blowing out highlights. You're not crunching your shadows. Sometimes there's just some scenarios you can't get around. Bride by a window on a sunny day with green lawn outside, you're going to get like a green bounce.
Yeah, right, of course. It's like a massive bounce, isn't it?
Oh,
yeah.
And you can't really colour balance to that.
Yeah, that's hard.
As soon as you shift, you add the magenta into that green skin tone, everything else will shift as well.
Falls apart or shifts, yeah.
Unless you mask it.
So,
and it's just like endless work.
Yeah, a lot of work, right.
Well, that's it, yeah. There is tricks and stuff around it, but, when you're shooting 1,000 frames an hour and delivering maybe 1,000 of them, you can't afford to go through and mask everyone's face over 1,000 images or 500 images. Or
You
whatever it
might
is.
choose 10 hero images and like do an absolute banger job on 10, and then do like a 95% job on the other 300, 400, 500 deliverables or whatever. I don't know. Is that a theme?
No, we do our very, very best on every single image.
Or just make them black and white.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
James
cracker.
James and I have like this thing where I'm
I've
like,
done that with my videos before. The
Yeah.
color looks shit. Black and white. Move on.
James and I have this thing where it's
So
like we'll be
creative.
showing each other. Like I'll be like, babe, what's this? And he's like, make it black and white. Make it black and white.
Yeah.
Make it black and white. Make it black and white. Like
Fucking
everything.
A.
I'm like, oh my god.
That
I'm
is
like,
so good. It's noir.
yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, no, the color of the light is also something I've played with, probably more so a year ago. Just introducing colored lights. You still want to try and get a key light of some sort that you can white balance to, something that's, even if it's tungsten light, you can kind of white balance to that, but throwing in some fun color can be really cool.
So how you doing that? Like this is for a wedding or something, or like?
Yeah, mostly portrait shoot stuff.
Okay, portrait shoot. Okay, because you've got control of this situation. But if you're shooting an event or a wedding, it's
absolutely, it's impossible.
Not much in your control.
That's right.
Do the clients, the bride and groom, do they ever consult with you guys as the photographers and go, hey, by the way, we've got like the lighting and we're doing the look. Like, is there anything that actually fucking works better? Because I would totally get the film crew and the photographers in with the art designer for sure.
Yeah, sometimes I force that opinion on people too.
Have you explained the 60-30-10 rule to people before? Do you guys know the 60-30-10 rule?
Yeah, like isn't that like 60 for them, 30 for me, 10 is that what you mean?
So in color, so it's actually it goes back hundreds of years to paintings.
Do you know about that?
So I'll share some YouTube clips with you guys, and I'll pop a couple of links here for any creatives watching. This thing was a fucking game changer for me. I'm looking at all these movies going like, how is the set design so beautiful, and what is it about this image that I love? And I'm research 60-30-10. 60% of the image has got one color, 30% of the image is another color, and then there's a 10% popper. So it might be a yellow wristband and a yellow ring here, or a yellow cup and a yellow wrist, or a red and a red and a red, but then the rest of it's like black and then a green, and it just kind of all comes together. So 60-30-10 rule. If you look at paintings, go to the art gallery and start looking at 300-400 year old paintings, you'll see the 60-30-10 rule applied to so many pieces of art.
Oh, I love that.
That's a nice way to think about your color palette. I guess, complementary colors and all that sort of stuff definitely comes into play when choosing those things, or when you've got a bridal party that it's dressed in a certain color and making sure it's not clashing with background or bits and pieces. It always comes to mind.
See the second one just there? That's the one I'm going to link in the
cool
description for the pod.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, it's really cool.
And it's got Gal Gadot in it. She's hot.
Yeah.
Just put it in just for her.
Absolutely.
Like, hey guys, here's a link. Look at Gal Gadot.
This thing's going to blow up. Million views on our first pod. Good. Guys, we're going to take a break. We'll be back very soon. Thanks for listening to the podcast. It's sponsored by Sky Video and Talent Corp. If you want professional talent in your videos to make them pop, reach out to Sky Video. Welcome back to the pod. Charlie, James, thank you so much for coming in today.
It's been a pleasure, mate.
It's been super fun.
It's gone so quickly already.
It has gone fast. They do.
Maybe I'll do more podcasts.
You should. 100%. We can do more together, and you can do more with other people. Share the podcast love. How good's the studio?
Yeah, it's awesome. This is really cool.
Guys, shout out to Hen House. It's $30 an hour. They have all of the equipment except the cameras is mine. But everything else is all here, plug and play, super easy to use, in and out, nicely sound-treated room. There's air conditioning if you want.
And there's some famous people on Polaroids out the front.
There's a lot of famous people on Polaroids out there.
This place is popular.
Yeah, this place pops. It's cool. It's very cool. Yes. So one of the things I love to speak about is including our customers on the journey. It's a very complex conversation because a lot of customers probably felt like how I did 6, 7, 8 years ago, where they just didn't understand what it is we do. How do you guys help your customers on their customer journey when they make an inquiry or when they get referred to you? how do you kind of explain to them what the experience is going to be like, and then the explanation around, you know, what packages you've got and why you charge, what you charge for your images?
Yeah, I definitely go down the path of wanting to connect with them first to see if you know, they're on a similar wavelength with their taste profile. Then I will proceed in a manner that educates them. So I want my clients to be as full bottled as they can be on my process. And in doing that, I can kind of manage their expectations.
Yeah.
Because if they don't align, you know, you're probably not going to nail it for them.
Yeah.
But also in that process of education, it's a massive stress reliever for them. You know, you can earn their trust by, you know, showing them and telling them how it works and what you do and what the process is. They then, you know, leave it up to you. So they're hands off. They're like, that's in the bag. We like his approach. We like the way he does it, and we can move on to the next stressful thing.
Give us a couple little secrets. Give us some of the insides. You've surely got a little trick up your sleeve or two that you're like,
I can share these secrets on behalf of James because he gave me the secrets, and I was like, this is a game changer.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's go there.
I think that some of the things that James has imparted on me, business-wise and system-wise, has been really imperative for the business side of things and with like client satisfaction as well. And one of the things that he taught me how to do at the very, very beginning of me being like, you know what, I'm going all guns blazing into weddings now. I fucking love them. It's, you know, a total stark contrast from studio work where, you know, as James said before, people are having the best time of their lives. They're all dolled up. They're feeling fucking hot, you know.
And there's a 55%,
they're in love.
There's a 55% chance that they'll come back for a rebooking.
Yeah, totally. Book us now for your divorce photo shoot.
Buy now, save later. Oh my God, you could imagine.
Yeah. But a couple of those really cool things that he has helped me to implement have been, so imperative and time saving and things like that. I think one of the most, or a few of the most amazing like programs that I'm set up with make that process really streamlined and smooth for my interactions with clients from the beginning to the end. My favourite is Studio Ninja. So shout out to Studio Ninja. Used code Charlotte Octavia. I'm joking. I actually don't have one.
50% off.
Yeah. But like, hashtag sponsor me because I'm shouting them out.
Hashtag reach out to this gal, yeah. Absolutely.
But they are, it's designed for photographers and it basically streamlines your client interaction process, like your leads, like it's a CRM system.
It's a CRM. Okay, so you're talking upfront business, sales funnels and pipelines.
Exactly, but it's so simple to use, and you can not only like interact with your like leads from there and email them back and forth and things. It's also got like a timeline of like what you need to do with them, like to send them this, to talk to them about this. And James helped me curate a lot of like my messages to them.
Nice.
Which
so
again,
messages and offers, or messages like
both. Everything from the beginning to end. So like, again, like with what James was saying about education. So being like, make sure that you've got this on your wedding day, or like, here is what I need from you. And it's all put together in like a cute little email that embodies my brand, you know, and then it also tells you to like, has little reminders, like, you know, call the client to confirm, you know, the timeline, things like that.
Yeah.
And that's been fucking great.
Nice.
And then that actually, that goes, what is it called? It integrates with Shootproof.
Yep.
Which is another awesome website, which is basically galleries where you can store your photos and share them with your clients, and they can download them. And it, you know, presents it all in a really beautiful way.
Nice.
They can, you know, share it with their friends and families, download them in
and this is
high
like
res, low res.
previewing. Okay, and download as well. Once they've paid, they can download or Gotcha.
And
is there a pay gate with it or something?
You can create one. It is super customizable, but again, like also really simple.
Yeah.
I mean, it does take like anything, it takes a while to set up, and I have, you know, James helped me do that, and thank God he
Sure.
did, because I can't technology despite being a photographer.
Yeah.
But yeah, like once it's all set up, I'm like, oh my God, now I can actually just like focus on doing what I do best, which is like
Nice.
being with the people, doing the thing.
Yeah.
You know, so
Amazing. That's a good tip.
Like all the touch points that I've developed over the years have all been derived from, you know, accidents and failures I've made in the past. So everything that I've implemented along the way is to help set myself up to succeed with each client. Like I learned early on, I needed absolute buy-in from people. I had a couple once that just shit canned the whole experience. Like they hated having photos taken, and
Oh, wow.
they didn't want to do it. They thought it was lame, and
Yeah,
like
right.
during the photo shoot, they were just under their breath going, "Oh, this is lame, this is dumb," you know,
Wow,
like this.
okay.
You know, and it absolutely crushed my confidence at the time.
Yeah. What a Buzz Killington.
Yeah, and I'm like, you know, the whole photo taking process is a real collaborative
Absolutely.
experience,
100%.
right? If people don't show up and participate, it's impossible to get good photos of
Yeah.
them. You know, if people are hiding, like how do you make magic? You know, so
they want the photo shoot to happen at them, not with them.
Yeah. That's a good way to
hire
put
a
it.
photographer. That's all we need to do, right?
Yeah.
So getting that buy-in, I realised, was paramount to the success of each project.
Nice.
So in every single meeting that I have with couples, I describe, you know, how I shoot, and I can get into that too if you want, but I also let them know that they don't need to be models, they don't need to like having your photo taken, but you do need to be willing to participate. You
Beautiful.
know, have fun with it, you know, laugh at yourselves, laugh with each other. Don't need to take it seriously, but you just need to be willing to participate. And then in just saying that, people are like, okay, I get it. I've got to be
You're
present.
straight away bringing the walls down, aren't you? And you're kind of positioning yourself subtly as like the expert / the person that's going to guide them and help them, but also asking for their buy-in and saying this is the only way it's going to work, guys. If you have fun with this, and is that kind of the technique you deploy?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then I'll explain the different approaches I have, you know,
Nice.
from the photojournalistic approach, where I just, you know, take a bit of a backseat from the moment that is happening and anticipate and just photograph things as they happen. So in a very hands-off approach. So like some of the preparation in the morning, definitely during the ceremony and the congratulations afterwards, I just buzz around, little fly on the wall, just, you know, and try and be present with what's happening, see the emotion and see the interaction as it's happening, and anticipate, be in the right spot, capture it. And I love doing that. Because, you know, we're talking about whether or not you're an extrovert or an introvert. I'm definitely an ambivert.
Omnivert.
Omnivert, whatever you call it.
Can I breathe underwater?
I've got 2 left feet. Does that count? So, you know, me being quiet plays into, you know, my comfort zone a little bit, and just observing is great because I'm very empathetic with people, so I can observe, see it happening and jump into it. But there's a lot of times during the day that you need to be proactive, and it does take a lot more effort, and it does take, you know, that interaction to really turn something into a great shot. You know, some documentary photographers will be like, I don't interact at all. That's just the way it is. You know, if mum puts your necklace on in a dark, dirty corner, that's your moment. I'm a bit like, you know, I don't want you to do it again, but I'm just going to help facilitate this to look beautiful.
Proactiveness.
Yeah, and I was like, guys, just keep what you're doing.
That's your job as the expert too, man. Like, you know, stand 2 steps forward, guys, and it's going to look incredible as opposed to just like, that looks fucking shit.
Yeah, totally. So, you know, and that's a part of refinement, and just, you know, helping sculpt that story with the 3 dimensions that light gives us.
Yeah.
So I'll explain that sort of process, and, you know, let them know that I know when to step in and when to step out, and let them do their thing. But, you know, when people turn around, look at you, and they're getting awkward and they're like, what the fuck do I do with my hands? That just allows me an opportunity to jump in and give them some direction. And
like put that claw away. What's the weirdest thing you've seen happen at a wedding? What's the strangest fucking thing?
Strangest thing.
Well, nothing now. I've been to Blaze.
Yeah. I'm like, is anything weird now? Or actually, everything's weird in the normal world now. As depends on the way you look at it.
That's it.
I hate being put on the spot like this. I move on pretty quick. Some things are pretty traumatic.
He
so
always
I put them behind me pretty quick.
He always says that
them.
every time he gets asked about like any wedding, he's like, "What's the best wedding you've been to? What's the worst wedding you've been to?
Yeah.
What's the funniest wedding?" It's like he's like, "What's a wedding?" Like it just completely extracts from his brain.
I can only focus on one thing at once, and that's this wedding this weekend.
Any standout shoots you've done? Any like big names that you can share who you've shot and had the pleasure to work with?
A couple of footballers, a couple of celebrities here and there. But probably my most memorable wedding was actually there were a bunch of photographers from New Zealand, and they had a wedding in Utah in the States.
Nice.
And they did it as part of a month-long road trip. So I actually joined them for like 2 weeks.
That's cool. That's very cool.
And I was like, okay, how do I approach this? Because I don't want to bring back 30,000 images.
Right.
So
why not? Why not?
Too big of a job.
Okay. So you had to do all the editing as well?
Yeah, of
Couldn't
course.
have just given them like 500 and then given them like some raws or something?
Never.
No.
Never? Okay.
Never.
No.
Yeah.
No.
So you guys never give raws away?
Never.
Ooh, I like this. We'll come back to that. So, sorry, continue.
So I decided to shoot one roll of film a day, just with a little point and shoot.
Fuck yeah.
And that enabled me to very much be immersed in the experience with them. They were such a beautiful bunch of people, and I've got 28 new friends, that I met there, and I came as a complete outsider.
What a great hack. Sorry, guys, I'm out of film. Tools down for the day, whiskey on.
So they had no expectation, but it's just something I wanted to do, and also to look useful, because I'm still there as a complete outsider.
Yeah.
But with the point and shoot, because I'm not thinking about exposure, and it's got its own light source, a little direct flash. I could just be totally immersed in the moment.
Nice.
And when life was happening and I looked cool, I'd just be like...
It's not about settings, it's about clicking that button.
Yeah, just the moment.
That's
so
cool.
I'd put the frame up to my eye and bang, shoot a frame and be like, that was awesome.
So
and
good.
only need to take one frame.
Yeah, that's cool.
Because you're not like working for it and trying to make moments work and frame things. Like it was just part of the experience, and those moments would happen organically, and I'd be like, cool, I've got a little camera in my hand, don't need to think about it, shoot. And they are sick. Like I love those photos more than anything.
That's cool.
They all came out black, but no joke.
I took it. My mum had a Pentax, or has a Pentax, old school like 1996 or 97 Pentax point and shoot with a little electronic zoom lens, 35mm, and I started taking that around I found it in a box somewhere like a year ago, and I'm like, fuck yeah, mine. Went and bought some Kodak 400, loaded that fucker up, took it around Europe, took it to Vietnam last year, and it's something about just that, one shot. You've got one shot to get it in the moment, and however it's going to turn out, and then the colors in film is just, for me, is like one of my favorite things about it. The look and the feeling of a film picture is so beautiful.
Yeah, it's like the base standard of where cinematic color came from, right? Like a lot of great films are shot on, Kodak 35mm.
Man, so fun fact, I go pretty nerdy on this stuff. So things that are shot on digital cameras now, if it's like a big motion picture or a decent sized budget, the insurance companies actually get the digital image printed onto film, and the film gets stored in an archive as part of the insurance coverage to insure that project because of all the distribution rights and everything. And so I watched this YouTube video the other day, and the guy in the UK was explaining the process, and the scanners now are getting better and better as well, that they're able to pull even more data off of film stock. So what we were pulling off film stock 20 years ago and going like, oh my God, this looks fucking amazing. Now in 2024, they're pulling even more data off and getting even more depth and richness. I don't know if you saw Oppenheimer. Did you see Oppenheimer?
Yeah.
Did you see it at cinema by any chance?
Nope.
I got invited by Universal Studios in Sydney to the premiere, and I sat front row with one of my mates, photographer. Shout out to Roman, fucking legend. And the scene where Cillian Murphy is talking to the camera, and they've got it shot on a huge wide angle, and it's black and white. That was 70mm Kodak film stock that got specifically made for Christopher Nolan in black and white. They'd never made a black and white film stock. Cillian's nose popped out of the fucking cinema. It was like 3D. And I'm just sitting like, holy fucking shit. I could like touch his nose right now. Like, boop, I'm going to boop ya.
When
Boop.
you did that, the light changed,
Oh,
which is like perfect.
Synchronized.
You planned that.
Oh man, I planned it. It
I
was
can
so
pick his
cool.
nose from here.
Was that shot on anamorphic as well? So it had that kind of wide angle look.
So I don't think it was on anamorphics. I could check. It was shot on the IMAX, big IMAX,
Right.
super duper camera.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what lenses they went with. Trying to remember what the flares look like, because you know how anamorphics give like a horizontal flare. I'm trying to remember if the flares were a circle or horizontal. We'll have to find out next episode.
Drop it in the notes.
Drop it in the bio down below
with all my promo codes.
That's right. No, awesome, guys. Well, it's been amazing having you on. Is there any other words of wisdom you'd like to share with these beautiful, creative people and beautiful, interesting people that are listening to the pod?
I mean, I've got 2 kids and I always tell them every day before school, try your best, be kind always, don't take shit. So that's going to be my pearls of wisdom to you guys all out there listening. Probably be written on my gravestone one day. Charlie Octavia, try your best, be kind always, don't take shit.
That's awesome. I love it. Well, thank you so much for coming on, guys. And thank you to everyone that listened. If you want Charlie and James back on another podcast, let us know in the comments below. And we'll see you on the next video.
Cheers, guys.
Bye.
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 Awesome.
That was really fun.
Hour and 20 minutes. All right, guys, thanks for listening to the podcast, sponsored by Sky Video and Talent Corp. If you want professional actors or Australia's best leading talent, please reach out to Sky Video or Talent Corp. And thanks for sponsoring this podcast.